It's time for a tell-all with everyone's favorite Holovian singer flying in straight from the heart of Penacony. Give it up for Miss Robin! Now, Robin, everyone wants to know, what does it mean to have hope?
That's a tough question. I guess for me, it would be,
Out with it. Well, what is it then?
If you really want to know, hope is...
Robin was born in a small town located somewhere within Penacony's dreamscape with her twin brother, Sunday. It wasn't long until her peaceful childhood was cut short by the Stellaron disaster. Stellarons are space cancers created by Eon Nanook, the Destruction. They're basically those IKEA lamps you wanted as a kid, but instead of whimsical, they cause war. Robin's hometown unfortunately had a heart-to-heart with the photo table lamp TM, and yeah, it caused an unspeakable natural disaster that wiped most of the inhabitants out. All this happened when she was just an infant. Her mother was clearly very important to her and her brother. Robin's mother and father would die in this disaster, her and her brother orphaned as the only survivors. With no relatives, a man named Gopher Wood adopts the twins and raises them as his own. Gopher Wood is the head of the family, the main governing body of Penacony, and a faction who worships Shay the Harmony. Long story short, if Gopher Wood is the president, then Robin and Sunday are raised by him and the White House, or the whole faction of the family in this case. They both are given luxurious educations, and Robin shows an exceptional talent for music. Her first teacher was strict and doubted her ability, but her twin brother could see her talent clearly. He builds her a stage from a spare table and gathers an audience of stuffed animals.
Big brother, what's this?
It's been so long since you sang with joy. I built a stage for you, though it's a bit rudimentary.
But the teacher thinks I'm not cut out for this.
Nonsense, I think you sound amazing, and your dreams will definitely come true. You deserve to sing on a bigger stage.
With Sunday's encouragement, Robin's musical talent flourishes and is nurtured by the family's education. However, Sunday is taken under Gopher Wood's wing as an apprentice of sorts, working to make a leader out of the child. It's at this point that their paths would formally diverge during a pivotal point in their childhood.
The Charminy Dove incident.
Sunday and Robin talk about this goddamn dove more than me and my sister have ever talked about one isolated experience.
And it didn't mean anything?
Yeah, but it like means something to us.
The orange juice dream.
That's the same thing that I thought too.
The stupid orange juice dream over and over again nonstop.
And I was throwing orange juice
Yeah,
glasses
I know.
behind me.
Okay, maybe this is a thing that siblings do. But anyways, Robin and Sunday's orange juice dream is the Charminy Dove. When they were kids, after dinner they found a fledgling dove, specifically a Penacony native species called the Charminy Dove, out in their yard. While Charminy doves are native to Penacony, the family's residence is not one of the dove's natural habitats. While the twins both want to help, Robin and Sunday disagree on how exactly to take care of the Charminy Dove. Gopher Wood sees the troubled twins and asks them each for their ideas.
Oh, poor little thing. Doesn't look like it's doing well. Do you want to rescue it?
I do, but I don't want to lock it up in a cage.
This is a pivotal point in Robin's development. She forms this core value that everyone deserves inherent freedom no matter how weak or different or outcast they are. Sunday also develops a unique take on this, which reflects his own growing values.
Birds, they should be flying free in the sky.
That's quite the romantic idea. And what about you, a young scholar? Do you agree with your sister?
I think she's right. But if we leave it out in the wild, it won't survive for more than a few days at best.
Before I talk about Sunday, I want to say something on Gopher Wood's reaction to Robin. Did you notice how he responded? Her idea that everyone deserves freedom as an inherent birthright is romantic, laughable. Keep this in mind. It turns out that this ability to fly is not inherent to the species. Originally, they were flightless birds. However, due to overcompetition from ground predators, Charminy doves over generations evolved to be able to fly.
So, you mean birds aren't born to fly, but they find a way to do it through their determination, right?
Well, that's an idealistic way of putting it.
There it is again. Robin's viewpoints are hopeful, idealistic, unrealistic. Sunday, at like 8 years old, instead of getting into Sonic, gets really into this fandom called nihilism and believes that people think birds belong in the sky because they haven't seen birds crash into the ground to their death before. So Sunday decides to keep it in a cage until it can learn to take care of itself. Sunday asks his father what would happen if this Charminy Dove never learned to fly in the end. More important than the answer is how Gopherwood first responds to hearing Sunday having a question to ask.
And what might that be, my son?
Remember how I told you to keep that thing in mind about Gopher's reaction to Robin's ideas? He has the opposite reaction to Sunday's.
That's an interesting perspective.
Sunday is even referred to as his son, while Robin is never formally referred to as his daughter. Have you ever heard of enmeshment? It's a concept introduced by psychologist Salvador Minuchin, where, in this case, the boundaries between a parent and a child are diffused, and there is little differentiation between the two individuals, so they lose that individualism and become intertwined in an unhealthy way. As Gopherwood takes Sunday under his wing, their relationship spirals further and further into this enmeshment. Sunday is not able to have childlike innocence because he is not a child. He is an appendage of Gopherwood, and Gopherwood is a jaded adult. But this is not the case for Robin. She has hope, and Gopher resents that. Why? To explain this, we've got to talk about... Whew, we're getting down to brass tacks here. Oh god, maybe this is why people think I'm old. I've only heard old people say that phrase. I've got to act my age. Alright, it's time to get down to the skibbity riz of this religious trauma. As a quick review, Honkai's gods are eons, manifestations of powerful philosophies known as paths. For example, the IKEA lamps from before the Stellarons are created by the Eon Nanook, Eon of the Path of Destruction. It's a straightforward philosophy based on the tarot card, the Tower. Sudden changes in destruction, creating liberation and rebirth. Out with the old, in with the new. It's important to note eons cannot do anything contrary to their path. Nanook cannot do something to preserve, they can only destroy. When an individual follows one of the philosophies presided over by an eon, a path, they are known as a path strider and receive power from that path. Groups of path striders are known as factions, and usually a planet will predominantly worship one eon, just as countries have a dominant or even state religion. How does this all tie in? Penacony follows the eon Shay of the Path of the Harmony. The family is a faction who worships the Harmony. The Path of Destruction is pretty easy to understand, that's why I opened up with it. It's self-explanatory, but the Harmony is not self-explanatory, and that's sort of the point. Understanding, supportive, and cooperative actions are manifestations of the Path of Harmony. If you and your team work together in a Discord voice call to take B-Site in Valorant, that's an action of the Harmony. Waiting in line at Sephora, that's an action of the Harmony. Singing drunk karaoke, that's not the Harmony. Singing backup vocals for your drunk friend doing karaoke.
Oh! It's in Korean! Oh my god, same.
That's the Harmony. You get the point. It's a path of harmonious actions. Both the twins are raised with religious worship of the Harmony in mind. Being raised by a faction is like being raised by a church, and I don't just mean this metaphorically. Their story was heavily inspired by Catholicism. This is where it all ties back to religious trauma. Sunday's enmeshment with Gopherwood was basically like him being raised by a priest, take that as you will. From a young age, he is exposed to the religion of the Harmony and is expected to take up a leadership role, following the footsteps of his father. He is isolated by Gopherwood. It is just him, his son, and the Church of Shay. So where does this leave Robin? Well, she was also raised to worship the Harmony, but with Sunday taking on the role of the enmeshed son, it leaves her free to interpret the Harmony for herself, not through the lens of Gopherwood, not through the lens of Penacony, her own unique viewpoint. To Sunday, the Harmony is keeping the bird in the cage. To Robin, the Harmony is letting it go. To Robin, the Harmony is hope. Robin's musical talent flourishes under the family's education, and as her music begins to gain more recognition, she decides to leave Penacony. This is unheard of. Penacony is kind of like a suburban town in central Jersey where no one born there leaves unless you're queer and named after an object, concept, animal, or sock. Robin, decides to leave Penacony and formally turn her musical hobby into a career. Sunday is resolute in his decision to stay and lead Penacony's future. As a symbol of their parting, the twins release the Charminy Dove they raised in childhood. Setting her sights on the stars, she goes on tour and releases the galaxy-wide hit, If I Can Stop One Heart From Breaking.
Birds are born with no shackles, then what fetters my fate?
As much as the song slaps, it also clarifies Robin's worldview and motivations, as well as her opinions on her home. Robin has this distinct feeling of capture. On one hand, it's a reflection of her environment. Penacony is modeled after New York City, Las Vegas, and Disney theme parks, all of which have this overwhelming sense of consumerist greed and haste and vapidness. There's a very different experience of being a tourist versus a native to a busy area like that. It's highlighted a lot throughout the story of Penacony, how brutal a tourist trap can truly be under its gilded layers. There's poverty, debt, corruption, substance abuse, subjugation of immigrants. When you're born in a city like this, the realization is isolating, as though you live in a dream only you have woken up from. It's a very similar feeling to being born in a family that looks great on the outside, but isn't quite the same behind closed doors. That's what Robin's other cage is. Robin is adopted by the family, the most influential and privileged faction in all of Penacony. To anyone, this would seem like a dream come true, but in reality, it's another cage for her. In the cutthroat commercial business world of Penacony, no one has time to entertain Robin's ideals, not even her brother. While they may have started off with the same dream to share their love of music with the world, the more that Sunday was raised by Gopher Wood, the more they diverged from that shared goal. And as his only surviving family, Sunday wants nothing more than to protect his sister, keep her safe from all that the world can do to her. This protection is a reflection of Gopher Wood. Gopher Wood shelters him and keeps Sunday to himself, but masquerades this manipulation as fatherly love. So, Sunday loves the only way he knows how, the only way he was raised, by trying to keep Robin under control.
The endless isolation can't wear down my illusion. Someday I'll make a dream unchained.
No matter the bondage holding her, the brutal city she was born in, or her protective family, Robin is resolute in her dream. What is her dream? It's the title of the song, If I Can Stop One Heart from Breaking. Just as Sunday changed from their innocent, childlike dream of sharing their song with the world, Robin did too. As an adult, she doesn't just want to sing, she wants to enact real change. She's seen what true suffering looks like in Penacony, her hometown destroyed, her family mercilessly ended from a single natural disaster. With her unique perspective and voice, what progress could she make? What hope could she bring to worlds she's never seen before?
Songs like If I Could Stop One Heart from Breaking and On the Most Beautiful Day swept the charts across the cosmos and became hugely popular singles. What no one could understand was why she chose this moment to retreat from the public eye. When she spoke of this time, she showed us all sorts of pictures she had taken back then. Among the ruins of war, she helped those who had lost everything to rebuild their homes. She built schools for children who had no chance to receive education. She went to unknown realms in search of songs that were about to fall into extinction.
In the face of true disaster, songs have no use at all. Do we sing to placate those in power? Or to cover up suffering and give people false hope?
But it wasn't the final stop of her tour. She took one last-minute detour to Casablanca 8. It's a war-torn planet. Robin decided to visit to bring hope to the locals, ease their suffering with her music, and personally deliver medical supplies on behalf of the IPC, straight to the front lines. While on the front lines delivering aid, there was a stray bullet and Robin was shot in the neck. Robin recovers from her wound over time, but her brother does not. Their shared childhood dream has all but vanished. To Robin, the harmony is hope for all, no matter your background, no matter your strength, and she's willing to put her life on the line to bring this dream to reality. But will Sunday let her? To take away someone's autonomy, is that still the harmony?
Thank you so much for sticking around for that commercial break. Didn't those cartoons make you want to buy those products? Right, Robin? Robin? Okay.
Once every Amber era, Penacony hosts an extravagant event called the Charminy Festival in celebration of Sheepay. Robin is invited to return home to be the main event of the festival, an invitation extended to her by Sunday, who is this Charminy Festival's organizer. Unbeknownst to him, a founding father of Penacony, the Watchmaker, also sends out his own invitations, inviting many foreign factions to join in the celebration. Sparkle of the Masked Fools, Black Swan of the Garden of Recollection, Dr. Ratio of the Intelligentsia Guild, Aventurine of the IPC, Duke Inferno of Everflame Mansion, Acheron of the Galaxy Rangers, and finally, our player character's faction, the Astral Express crew representing the Trailblaze. All these factions, each who worship a unique eon, putting aside their differences and coming together for a common goal of celebration, it seems like the pinnacle of harmony, perfect stage for Robin. But when the Astral Express meets Robin, they notice something peculiar.
I'm no singer, but her voice sounded a little strange. Would a singer really take to the stage if their voice wasn't in top shape?
Could she be tired out from her cosmic concert tour?
It's normal to be worn out after a tour, right? Anyone's voice would be weary. Well, if you do a little eavesdropping in Penacony, you can hear this private conversation between Robin and Sunday, and it looks like her voice issue might be more serious than we first thought.
The Charminy Festival stage belongs only to you, little sister.
But if I can't sing,
What meaning does a stage have?
Robin's voice, it's her life. That's not an overstatement. Every step she has taken has been motivated by song. More than this, Sunday and the family seem especially on edge. It's not until we meet a memo hooker, I mean a memo keeper, who reveals a terrible secret.
Penacony's dream is sinking right now.
Sinking? You mean the dreamscape is collapsing?
This is very relevant to understanding the setting of Penacony, so stay with me. Have you ever heard of the American Dream? The American Dream is a phrase referring to the purported national ethos of the United States, that every person has the freedom and opportunity to succeed and attain a better life. Originally, the emphasis was on democracy, liberty, and equality, but more recently has been on achieving material wealth and upward social mobility. Now, I'm not going to argue with Wikipedia, but I think the American Dream is the spirit, the life of our country that can be interpreted as either freedom or economic opportunity. And the importance of the second one often cancels out the first one. Penacony was heavily inspired by America, especially the big cities like I said before, and one of the main points of both is the American dream, that I can go into New York City and just with hard work be able to lift myself up. Hoyoverse took this idea and did a kind of genius thing with it. Penacony itself is a dream. Literally. The physical planet of Penacony is a hotel. You pay money to check in, and when you go to sleep in that hotel, you are able to enter the real Penacony through your dreams. It takes the idea of the American dream and goes, let's make it literal. A literal American dreamland. But like America, it's still supposed to uphold the spirit of anyone can make it here with enough hard work. This is the land of freedom. Well, that sounds like an amazing place. So why is Twilight Sparkle telling us the dreamscape is sinking?
Ever since I returned to Penacony, my voice started to change. Losing my voice is just one of the signs of the sweet dream's collapse.
Maybe on the surface, Penacony is a dream come true, but when you truly walk its streets, things aren't quite as they seem. To a tourist, a city is a playground. Perhaps only a native has the scrutiny to tell glitz from reality. And like any city, addiction is rampant. To take a real look at the current state of Penacony and to find out what about it exactly is messing up Robin's voice, the twins take a walk along its streets. A Pepeshi citizen talks about how life back home wasn't really living, but Robin rightfully asks, is an endless high living either? He had to sell everything to get the chance to travel to Penacony. No more family, no more possessions, no more home. All that for what? Robin doesn't see the point. Just because that man is drunk, sedated, doesn't mean he's actually happy or fulfilled. He's living in empty bliss. Penacony at the end of the day is just a dream, an illusion. Sunday has a normal response to this. Just kidding, he says something concerning.
Even without Penacony, people create their own illusions called self-value.
Sunday believes people only think they create their own value, but in reality, value is taken from the weak. Only from stealing value do people gain value. Okay, so Sunday's been reading some very read books since we last saw him. If we go back to the idea of the American dream, it promises wealth and freedom through good old hard work, but Sunday thinks wealth and freedom are only achievable by stealing wealth and freedom from others, which, well, it's pessimistic, but is he lying? For every free, wealthy person in Penacony are 2 more citizens suffering for their pleasure. For every person at the highest class of society is a foundation of impoverished ones, suffering to fulfill their lavish lifestyle. Speaking of lavish lifestyles, they meet another guest who seems just cheesed. The dreamscape is her own personal escapism. She can't stand being lonely or bored, so this constant source of stimulation is perfect for her. Robin says, "Hey mama, if you stay this happy forever, wouldn't it get boring as well?" And she goes, no, it could never get boring. I love it here, :3.
Seems like that guest's perspective didn't resonate with you either.
I could sense her genuine happiness. It's just that...
She thinks she's in control of her life, but in reality, she's just escaping from reality and seeking solace in this sweet dream. The paradise in our dreams. It doesn't have to end.
No. And the paradise we yearn for shouldn't be just a fleeting dream either.
Robin and Sunday reference the dream they had as children, their innocent goal of happiness. But at this point in their life, I'd like to ask you, do Sunday and Robin's values share anything in common anymore? You've listened to both a fair bit at this point. They both dream of paradise, sure, but does paradise mean the same thing to them anymore? That's a really good question, Casbah. Why thank you, Casbah. Kisses myself. The last person Robin and Sunday talked to on the street is a war veteran. He was a soldier in an unnamed conflict, and when he was out fighting in Fantasy Space Fallujah, his encampment got attacked, leaving him gravely wounded. His life would never be the same. However, if you remember, all you have to do to be in Penacony is to be able to dream. Fantasy Space War Veteran Administration sent him up with a grant to dream in Penacony. Now, while his body is permanently disfigured and disabled, he can at least live out the rest of his life perfectly fine in the dream of Penacony. Right? For that woman from before, a dream is a temporary release from life's struggles. For this war veteran, it's his entire life. His body is maimed beyond recognition, and he has no life possible outside of this. It reminds me a little bit of VR chat. For the uninitiated, it's a game where you can put on a virtual reality headset and connect to a whole world of global chat rooms. You can even interact with the virtual world through full body tracking. For some people, it's a helpful escape from the real world. Less stakes, more fun. Like the woman from before. For others with extreme disabilities or illnesses, it can serve as their only accessible connection with others. Then, is it truly a fantasy for someone like this? Is a dream truly a dream for someone who will never wake up? Bidding the war veteran goodbye, Robin and Sunday stumble upon one last person to speak to. Someone who looks exactly like Robin? What the Sigma is going on here?
What a surprise to see you again.
Show yourself. Your trick won't work on us.
I don't care what you're thinking, chicken wing boy.
Robin and Sunday's final guest on their walk is Sparkle. She's a masked fool, a faction that worships Aha the Elation. It's a path that basically worships anything funny, anything that makes you happy and laugh. Elation is the philosophy of hedonism. Remember how I compared Penacony to VR chat? More than this, Penacony is a reflection of the internet at large, and someone like Sparkle is the purest form of an internet troll. She gets her joy from playing around with people, causing chaos, lying. In fact, it's a form of religious worship for her when you think about it. To worship the Elation is to laugh. To them, there is no difference between praying and playing. The thing is, being a freaking menace isn't really conducive to a world of harmony. If anything, a masked fool being in a place of harmony is a sign that your planet isn't really that harmonious at all. So Robin, politely, tells her to GTFO.
Leave now, or the family won't tolerate you anymore. All right. I'll go. But Robin, I suggest you seriously consider this. Do you really believe those living in dreams can escape pain and find true happiness?
She's got a point.
Objectively, Sparkle isn't lying here. Robin can't appear on stage for this Charminy festival. Why? Robin's voice comes from the power of the harmony. She said as much before. The dream is supposed to be this pinnacle of harmony, cooperation, compassion, understanding, teamwork. But walking along the streets of Penacony, we see the opposite of that. It's every man for himself. Addiction, hedonism, greed, apathy, stealing. If anything, it's in complete opposite to the harmony. It's discord. Robin's voice resonates the harmony of others, but in discord, there's nothing for her to harmonize with. Furthermore, if the dream is powered by the harmony but exists in constant chaos, it will start to collapse. How did this happen? In short, so it turns out that the core of Penacony, the Grand Theater, the stage of the Charminy Festival, is a Stellaron. This is bad. At this point, you can understand the power of the more philosophically paths. The harmony can create peace throughout the universe with a song. The elation can make people laugh. The destruction can create a bomb. Stellarons are created by Nanook, the god of, the eon of the destruction. And like I said before, eons cannot act against their path. Eons can only act in accordance with their philosophy. Stellarons, the IKEA lamps, are called the cancers of all worlds. When a world has a Stellaron, it undergoes a slow collapse, like cancer, until it is no more. Sounds dangerous, right? It's been floating above the citizens of Penacony for years, just radiating social cancer over everyone. The destruction has placed a seed of discord. If no action is taken, this sweet dream will be no more. Oh yeah, and their dad, instead of getting rid of the IKEA cancer lamp, decided to keep it. Just keeping the IKEA cancer lamp over everyone's head, causing the slow collapse of society as we know it. So Sunday and Robin hatch a plan to stop this, confront their father, and take down the theater. It's the only way to begin laying the road of progress to ultimately re-harmonize Penacony. But before they start fixing an entire government, Robin checks up on her brother. He seems concerned, different, changed.
Seems like a lot has changed during my absence. What exactly happened?
Robin's right, Sunday does seem a lot more edgy, and significantly more communist since we last saw him as a child.
Someone has to stay awake even in this sweet dream.
But that someone doesn't have to be you, or anyone in particular. You're carrying too much on your shoulders, brother. The paradise in our dreams. It shouldn't be like this. Is Penacony granting these people a future? Or is it taking it away from them?
Well, don't forget this. Not everyone really has a future.
Huh?
The future for humanity is like the sky for birds. People mistakenly believe that flight is inherent to birds because they've never witnessed those birds crashing to their death.
Do you remember the Charminy Dove from before? Well, when Robin left Penacony to pursue her dreams, the twins released the Charminy Dove they kept in a cage back into the wild. However, Robin had already left the dream before she saw what really happened afterwards. When Sunday released the bird into the wild, it took flight and crashed. It fell and perished immediately. Robin had an inkling this was the case. Sunday had never mentioned the bird again after that, so she knew he was hiding something. But despite this, her viewpoint is unshaken. It was the right thing to release the Charminy Dove. It deserved to be free. Living in a cage is no way to live.
But here's the thing. If there are birds in this world that can never fly, can we really assert that they belong in the sky? While the Harmony holds noble aspirations, the strong will always be strong, and the weak will always be weak. Even in this carefree dream.
If even you, my brother, don't believe that the Harmony will save the weak, then which Eon can make our dreams come true?
It begs the question, what Eon does Sunday believe in anymore? Robin definitely still follows the path of the Harmony, but the point of the Harmony is everyone working together to achieve peace. Sunday doesn't believe people can work together at all. The people inherently harbor weakness that will make them hurt each other. You can't have harmony without trust. Still, it's not like he's completely given up. So how exactly is he trying to achieve the peace he wants if it's not through the Harmony? Welt, a veteran of the Astral Express, joins Robin and Sunday to negotiate with their father about the Stellaron. But when they finally meet with Papa Gopherwood, Welt poses a good question. A question that is maybe too good.
The god you both mentioned, are they truly shay?
Sunday and Gopherwood have been leading Penacony this whole time, and as we've seen before, Penacony certainly isn't in a state of the Harmony. We're introduced to this as a shared problem, but Welt takes a different perspective on it. If Sunday and Gopherwood have been the leaders of Penacony, and Penacony is no longer in Harmony, have Sunday and Gopherwood been leading Penacony away from the Harmony? If they are, what Aeon are they worshipping instead of shay? What path do they want Penacony to follow? Not following the Harmony, that would make Robin's childhood a lie. That would make the foundation of Penacony a lie. Why isn't Sunday responding?
For the sake of our grand cause, Sunday, please afford these two an opportunity to rest.
What? This is the true reason I can't sing. The shadow that envelops Penacony is actually...
We were never children of the Harmony. Our ideal paradise could not have been crafted by shay. True bliss can only be guaranteed by the one who transcends the many. And through harmony, we obtain order.
Okay, Karl Marx the twink. While Robin and Welt are kidnapped by Sunday, the Astral Express, and Firefly, a member of the Stellaron Hunters, try to find their way to Gopherwood by entering Penacony's Got Talent to get a chance to perform at the Grand Theater. You know, the IKEA Cancer Lamp Theater, that one. When they get there, they see Sunday instead of Gopherwood and find out he's all about the Order. It's his favorite thing. What is the Order? Well, Sunday explains it through his own life experiences. He gives us a scenario from his life and asks us to make a choice on what they would have done in his shoes. The first one is the Charminy Dove, a helpless bird the twins found as a child. Would you A, build a nest on the spot and keep it free in the yard, or B, build a cage and keep it in captivity? If you decide to keep it free, Sunday tells you,
From what I've observed, there are at least 3 predators in that yard that prey on small birds. The Vosicle Scorpion, Asdana Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine! Let's f***ing go! I'm so sorry. That's not appropriate. The point is, even in a domestic yard, the defenseless Charminy Dove would not be safe with predators roaming around. If left to its own devices, it would definitely be eaten by one of these predators. Okay, so it wouldn't live if we just let the Charminy Dove free immediately. What happens if we build a cage for it? It should live, right? Well, this is the route that Sunday chose, so we get to hear his lived experience on what happened to the Charminy Dove after trying to cage it. Was it the right choice?
We passionately nursed it back to health. We opened the cage door and let it fly back into the sky. The fall shattered its wings. It writhed helplessly in my embrace. But it was all for naught, finally succumbing to a painful demise.
Jesus Christ. So that clearly didn't go well. Maybe he should go to therapy? No, he's actually going to trauma dump on the audience instead. Okay, so I'm actually the narrator here, so maybe you should just let...
This story happened when I was appointed as Bronze Melodia, a position exclusive to the Oak family, charged with listening to the problems and vexations
Oh my
of
god, you talk
Dreamscape
way too
residents.
much! Okay, so Sunday serves as a priest on Penacony where he runs this confessional, right? When parishioner confesses to him that he immigrated illegally to Penacony and he sold all he had, including his children, to be able to get away to stowaway to Penacony. His plan was that at least if his children were slaves, they would be fed. Terrible plan, by the way. And when he made enough money on Penacony and realized his American dream, he could buy them back. But being an illegal immigrant, the police branch of the family, the Bloodhounds, sniffed him out and were on the hunt for him. Sunday gives you two choices. A, attempt to convince the Bloodhounds to stop trying to deport him, or B, stay silent and do nothing, letting the Bloodhounds continue their pursuit. You would think that doing nothing, staying silent, is the wrong choice at first. Well, let's say he never gets caught. He's still in massive danger. Remember that to enter the dream of Penacony normally, you have to use the hotel? Stowaways use other methods to smuggle themselves into the dream that place themselves and their minds at a lot of risk. It's the same principle as illegal immigration in the real world. Even if the feds don't catch you, you don't have the same safety and privileges as citizens. Sweatshops, pimps, gang violence, poverty, these forces discriminate and target vulnerable people. Who is more vulnerable than a group of people afforded no kindness by their own government? Well, what happens if you choose the first option, trying to stop the Bloodhounds from deporting him?
First, the outcome. He attained major success. After avoiding capture, he ran a business for a few years, very quickly making a name for himself, elevating his status.
Let's go, he's not deported. Oh, it gets worse, never mind.
The last time I saw him was in the real world, where the Hounds were going to permanently exile him. He told me the reason he was in this predicament was because he conspired to usurp the head of the Alfalfa family. When I asked him about his two children, he instead responded with a question. What children?
As with so many afforded opportunity, greed and corruption overtook them and they lost sight of their original goal. By the time Sunday saw this man again, he'd completely forgotten about his original goal, buying back his children. All that mattered to him was more money. His final story is when we received word his sister, Robin, was shot in the neck during her tour.
Would you still support Robin's journey on the path of harmony?
The thing is, it's more of a rhetorical question than anything. At this point, he's already made his choice.
Raising these questions merely serves to illustrate one point. The plight of Penacony cannot be salvaged by the harmony. The true foundation for a sweet dream paradise can only be established through the order, where the strong govern the weak.
Sunday wants Penacony's dream to be ruled by the path of the order instead of harmony. First, his namesake in theory, a never-ending Sunday.
From where I stand, society's ideal system should be 7 rest days. Following Sunday, there should ensue a second, a third, and indeed an infinite procession of Sundays.
Hey, do you get it? That's why his name is Sunday, because, in his ideal world, it's a never-ending weekend. No more work, only leisure. The other cornerstone of his ideal world is the strong governing the weak, keeping them protected and unexploited. It's a lot like the Charminy Dove. In a yard full of predators, the only right choice is to cage it. To Sunday, in a society full of vulnerable people, the poor, ignored, and exploited must be controlled if they are to be kept safe.
But what is the price to attain all this?
To achieve the dream of the Order, Sunday must stay awake, alone, forever, to maintain the dream. It's a crazy plan, and Firefly reads this man to filth, honey.
The want to escape may be innate in the weak. But whether they are weak or not, it is not up to another to decide. Perhaps in your mind, you also view me as weak? Because I don't think so.
Oh, honey. Girl, security.
To Sunday, the strength of the individual doesn't matter because he doesn't know individuals. Trapped inside the dream for years with just gopher wood and his own pessimism, it has twisted that once youthful idealism into extremism. Extremism for the Order. What is the path of the Order? Long ago, there was N of the Order, an ancient eon. They take the form of a porcelain puppet master, controlling the strings of the world to quell any disorder or chaos. All is in control under Enna's hands. But what of freedom? Before anyone could find out, Shay the Harmony would ascend to Eonhood at the end of the Swarm disaster. Harmony is a broader concept than the Order. Enna died and became a part of Shay. Paths are philosophies given form by eons. They follow the same trends as faiths. When Christianity met paganism, paganism was absorbed into the broader, more powerful faith. When Arab mysticism met Islam, it was absorbed and assimilated into the faith. When Shay ascended to Eonhood, their path was so broad that Enna was absorbed and assimilated, becoming a part of Shay. Enna was no more. But it wasn't the end of the path of Order. Even if an Eon dies, people can still follow that masterless path. There are dead faiths that are still practiced in private. There are dead languages that are slowly being revived. And so was this plan hatched by the family of Penacony to resurrect Enna the Order and usurp the Harmony. In Sunday's eyes, the Harmony was not enough to protect the weak of Penacony, but the control of Enna, a puppet master, could save everyone. The Astral Express disagrees with Sunday and wants to fight for Penacony's freedom. They fight head to head and fail. Penacony's dream of the Harmony turns into a dream of the Order. Sunday wins.
Failure doesn't mean weakness. Only the strong can gather the will to resist the Order and try to break free. We still have a chance, though. To make it happen, please, Black Swan, guide us to those with a strong will.
All right, please come with me.
These people are...
They're the ones who accept Enna's dream and indulge in their happy illusions.
Their eyes are dulled, but their lips curl up at the edges as though transfixed in overwhelming joy. Welcome to paradise. When I first saw this part of the quest, it genuinely disturbed me. Sunday effectively takes away an entire nation's agency and just leaves them satisfied. No ambition, no independence, just in stasis. It's a horrifying thought. The only way to wake up from Enna's dream is if you're incredibly powerful like Acheron, or are smart enough to realize it's an illusion like Black Swan and the Trailblazer. Robin is the latter. She experiences her childhood again in Enna's dream, but she notices something isn't right.
Can you guess what it has to do with? Can you guess? It's the Charminy Dove again!
Are we going to lock it up in a cage? I want to see it fly freely in the sky.
Birds belong to the sky, so we should help them return there, right?
Uh-huh?
Robin wakes up from the dream because of Sunday's lack of pessimism, which is really funny and really sad. Throughout her entire life, her optimism is seen as superfluous and weak. She realizes she's in a dream because her optimism isn't being questioned for once, which can't possibly be real. That's depressing. Now that we have a few people woken up from the dream, we have a question. How do you wake up the whole of Penacony from the control of the Order? It's a deceptively simple question.
We must make everyone in Penacony want to wake up.
Who would want to wake up from a dream of satisfaction? In the dream of the Order, everyone's wishes are granted. Sunday is taking care of everything. It's living sedated. It begs an important question. If there was no downside to living life completely inebriated, would it be right to go through life high all the time, always happy, no bodily side effects? Everyone has their own take. For some people, reality is always more important than an illusion. Happiness given to you through a substance, or in this case a dream, isn't real happiness. But for others, they don't have the privilege to get that kind of happiness. Like the veteran from before, Penacony's dream was his last shot at happiness. For other people, there's a religious factor at play. Someone following the path of elation would hate it in the dream of the Order. There's no fun. In the same vein, someone who is a devout Buddhist wouldn't want to live life intoxicated like this. It's a hindrance to an enlightened mind. So who is right? Here's the thing. No one is. Everyone having their own viewpoint is the reason. It's the point. For Sunday to force everyone into a living paradise is to take away everyone's liberty to life itself. Some people might choose to enter this dream, but that should be their choice. Thus, the folks who have woken up from Enna's dream hatch a plan to end the dream of Order. First, Boothill, a Galaxy Hunk, a Galaxy Ranger, will light a beacon to alert his faction to descend upon the dream. It's a burial artifact that alerts other Galaxy Rangers to come and pay their respects. And Galaxy Rangers, if you've watched my last video, are infamously stubborn, a little stupid, but extremely strong-willed. When they descend on the dream, the collective consciousness, the order of the dream, will be shaken as it tries to convert them into submissive dreamers. Once the foundation of the dream is shaken, Robin plans to use the power of the Harmony to inspire the dreamers to wake up. But Black Swan and Acheron think this plan is a little too idealistic. Not everyone on Penacony will want to wake up in order to live a life in pursuit of the Harmony.
That's why the most critical aspect of this plan is not to convince everyone to choose the right path, but to inspire them to save themselves.
That's what this fight is about. It's about giving people the choice to dream. Freedom. In Sunday's eyes, everyone is inherently weak or strong. The powerful only have power because they stole it from the weak, and the weak are inherently powerless. No one can solve this issue because everyone is too selfish to solve it. Only Sunday can solve it by sacrificing himself so that he can dream a paradise for all of Penacony while he suffers alone in the waking world. Oh brother, this guy stinks! What a horrible outlook! It's wrong. Why is Robin so optimistic? Because she's seen the world and Sunday hasn't. He has all these grand plans for what the world should be, all these moral quandaries, these choices that only he alone can choose correctly, but it only works if it's isolated in his head. Everything only works if it stays in his head. Penacony only works to him if it's literally dreamt by him inside of his own mind. He was so isolated as a child by Gopher Wood and the family, only staying within the confines of Penacony and never leaving, stuck in the toxic enmeshed dynamic with his father, that he never got to see the real world. The small parts of the real world he did see was over-translated into his head. He never got to see the real ramifications. He saw YouTube shorts of people's lives and then wrote a paragraph in the comment section taking it out of context. Sunday stayed. Robin left and saw the real world at full length. She never helped people by trying to fix their problems for them. She gave them resources to let them solve it themselves. Because who is Robin to know how to fix everything? She's a singer. She sings. When she delivers aid to the planets in conflict, she doesn't plan on ending the wars herself. She sings a concert to inspire hope in people who are hopeless. She delivers medical supplies and food to the needy. Robin first considers this aspect of herself as a weakness, but it's her greatest strength.
In the face of true disaster, songs have no use at all. Do we sing to placate those in power, or to cover up suffering give people false hope?
But songs do have power. They are hope in the form of complete freedom. A missionary can deliver a story to someone in complete poverty, promising to solve all their problems and a path to salvation, but what does a solution to a problem mean to someone who has no hope in solving it in the first place? To deliver the answer to a question not asked by the oppressed is to take away freedom they didn't know could be stripped away. Agency. But to sing a song, it's not a solution, it's not a mission, it's hope. It's the courage to perform somewhere where people think is a rough neighborhood, where people who look like that aren't allowed. It's to show people that people like that can exist there. It's inspiration. It gives back liberty to an audience. You didn't tell them how to solve their problems. You didn't even tell them that they did have a problem. You just gave them hope that they can. When Penacony succumbs to the dream of the Order, everyone is delivered a solution they never asked for. Sunday doesn't know the world, so he places no faith in them. He hates himself, so he makes himself suffer to make everyone happy, without even knowing what would make them happy. So Robin does what she does best. She knows the world, so she puts her faith in the world. She loves herself, so she does what she loves. She sings. So it's time to fight for Penacony's freedom. The last time the Trailblazers tried to defeat Sunday, they lost. Badly. Sunday has the power of Penacony's dream on his side and the burgeoning might of a dead god. But the Trailblazers, they have a power that's a little different. A familiar voice.
Music.
There seems to be another kind of sound coming into the Order's symphony. Penacony's first and last disharmony.
With Robin's inspiration, the Astral Express fights with all it has against Sunday. For the first time in their lives, Robin and Sunday's ideals are head-to-head. They may have started off with the same dream, but now their dreams are polar opposites, clashing. Who will win? There's a quote from Rebecca Sugar, the creator of Steven Universe, that I really think applies here. It's originally about a character named Rose Quartz, but it fits very well for Sunday too. What she is doing is outrageously selfless and outrageously selfish at the same time, and you can really read it both ways, and neither is untrue. Sunday is planning to stay awake forever in eternal solitude to create what he feels is a paradise of perfect order. It's an utterly selfless action, but at the same time, nobody asked for this paradise. In fact, there's a group of rebels fighting against his perfect paradise, so this endeavor is utterly selfish. Both are true. If he wins, order will reign in Penacony, and Enna will live again as an Eon. If Robin wins, Penacony is free. At first, they appear to be losing as Sunday unleashes a devastating attack. But slowly, the tables begin to turn. Through a grueling boss fight, through the hard combat of the Trailblazers and Robin, Sunday falls.
The night is still too short.
The dream is over.
What's the point of this video? It's how to have hope right now. Right now, it's hard not to feel hopeless. There's a strong wave of conservatism and nationalism, especially in the United States, and to put it simply, people are being discriminated against because of it. That's not the only part that makes us lose hope. It's something that feels very unique to my generation. We're isolating ourselves in our own heads, and it's easier to do that than ever because of the internet. When we see doom posting online, in the news, when we experience these little intimate moments that reinforce our feeling of left-outedness, when the government itself discriminates against us, it's like a rejection from the world itself. So you stop showing yourself to the world. You stay inside more. You make those social interactions you used to have outside isolated to the internet. And the internet parades itself as being more accessible and inclusive, but it creates this positive feedback loop instead. We forget the internet is also full of people who feel left out and insecure from the real world. Not to read the internet, I love you, Diva, but there's this specific effect. You distance yourself from the real world because of small rejections, and then the internet reinforces that rejection because of insecure people who have been rejected themselves. In the attempt of escaping rejection, you go to a space where a lot of people have no consequences for what they say. They'll say anything. It can really make you feel like the world is against you. This isolation kind of warps your worldview. When you get stuck in your own head, it makes you try to understand the whole world only within your own head. Everything feels intense, everything feels black and white, and it's even easier to get to this point in first-generation families. In our cultures, we already keep things within the family, so it's a lot easier to get into this rut of hopelessness and loneliness. This isolation and the intensity born from it, however, is fragile. Like any kind of radicalized ideal, it does not exist well in the diverse habitat of the outside world, and instead it can only fester like mold where it can further isolate people who are already isolated. When Sunday isolates himself in this, when we isolate ourselves in this, we lose hope. The question of the whole video, how do you have hope? You have to find it for yourself. Robin is raised in a vacuous, wildly consumerist city that oppresses the poor and caters to the wealthy, but she knows she likes to sing with her brothers, so she finds her happiness in that. As her father sinks his claws further into Sunday, she knows she couldn't be free in Penacony, so she leaves. She experiences the world and finds that there are places and people different than Penacony, all with their own viewpoints. There is no time for ideals like Sunday's to grow. Ideals like those are vast and swathing, trying to understand entire groups of people. When you leave your house, when you travel, and you actually try to see the world rather than see what you want to, it's hard to hold those ideas. And by being in the world, you make it hard for people to hold those vast, swathing ideas about you. I look a certain way, I sound a certain way, and I know the kinds of judgments people have made about me, but I also know how the world has accepted me in ways that shouldn't be possible. I go to the mosque and people like me and miss me there. I never stopped being queer there, I never changed my voice, I just was accepted because I showed respect back. I can go to Brooklyn and get compliments on the way I dress, and I can compliment the people who live there back. I can go to a pride parade and make the easiest conversation, even if it's just for a day to have that luxury. And yeah, it's not always easy. The world does bite back at random, and it hurts so much. But I don't think the solution is to go into this shell of isolation or become a political bodhisattva. I think the solution is to hold the experiences where people accepted you close to your chest, because those moments are hope. I think you should lead with the knowledge that people have changed their worldviews because they saw you. That's hope. And if you're not finding that where you are, if you're not finding that within the confines of your community or family, you fight to find a place where you do have that hope, because it does exist. I grew up in an isolation very similar to Robin and Sunday. I had my ideals, my home, and the lonely city. That's it. I felt and still feel sometimes that haste that Sunday does, that ideological fever where it's as if the entire world only exists in your head. It is a fervor bred by being sheltered, where there isn't enough outside noise to shake up the hopelessness and pessimism of thinking you can understand the whole world, of thinking that the whole world does not understand you. But when I try to empathize with the world, when I try to get to know her, I have hope. I join a band, I go talk to an elder at a rug shop, I run around Little India with my friend, I laugh with a stranger. It gives me hope, because of all those heady ideals I once held about the world in isolation for years can be shattered by actually getting to know the world, by a little action like making a new friend. Then who knows what else can change? Who knows what else can change? That's hope. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support me, please consider supporting me on Patreon. There's lots of sick rewards, like appearing in my credits with a custom portrait I draw of you, or getting to pick my next video. I'm working hard to make this my full-time job, and with your support, I can. Thank you again. Pslama.
They call me Red Robin in the streets.
Listen, Chief. Out here in the park, you listen to Big Deku.
Don't play with me.
Red Robin, you better not catch me on the A-train. I move with a gangster lean.
Don't let me catch you on this diss track.
Robin, don't make me go plus ultra in Jamaica Queens. We out here.
I'll go brah. This is the greatest bit I've ever done.